When a student learns a new word, how many times should they hear it and use it before it becomes a permanent part of their vocabulary? 2 times? 100 times? 30 times? Well, Paul Nation has researched this. Between 5 and 16 times. And if you don't use it, you lose it. There are some strategies that you can use to help students upload a word into their brains. For instance, when I was learning Indonesian, I wanted a spoon. Indonesian for spoon is sendok. I pictured in my head putting a spoon into an envelope and sending it to my doctor, sendok. And that helped me learn the word immediately without having to repeat it. Now let's look at some of the habits that you can get into if you're not doing this already. At the start of the class, draw a margin on your whiteboard and record any new words or phrases on the left. You can photograph the whiteboard. You can even upload these photos onto a simple blog. I use Wix.com. And you can let the students have a link and they can visit all the whiteboards throughout the course. The students can take pictures of new words with their smartphones. You can also record words in notebooks. Now, how do students do this? In categories, for example, the environment here, students can write a definition, a part of speech, and an example. Now, students don't have to write the words in categories. Research says that even if the words are unconnected, the benefit of writing words in a notebook is the same. Students can record words in lexical groups. Look, these are phrasal verbs and they're unconnected in meaning, but they all start with the word break. It's however you want to do it. You can even make mind maps with students. Now, these are great for visual learners and they help students make connections. Notebooks full of work look great for our customers, and students can take them home and refer to them, but the important thing is that all of this writing doesn't become a word cemetery, words buried in a notebook forever, never revisited. This is why we must recycle the vocabulary that we learn. I've given you a link here to Lizzie Pinnard's blog, Reflective Teaching, Reflective Learning. It really is excellent. Type this in and have a look. Here are some activities that she puts on her blog to help you recycle words that you've exposed learners to in class. This is very, very simple. The next day, put learners into groups. Ask them what they can remember from the previous lesson. They'll brainstorm words, write them down, check they've spelled them right. Ask learners how many words that they already knew. List the words down. Ask learners to take it in turns to define the words that they've written. And the rest of the group or another group can identify the word. So if you've taught them the word crocodile, they can define it by saying a long green animal which lives in rivers or the sea with large teeth. The other group will go crocodile. You can explain how to record vocabulary, the word, the part of speech, the definition, the example. Write these down on cards and you have 2 boxes in class. Put the cards into the one box and as soon as all the students agree with each word that they've learned it, you can transfer it to the second box. This way you keep a record of words they're still unsure of words that they believe they've learned, and you can revisit them in lessons in the future. Hot seat, I think a lot of teachers do this. Split your class up into 2 teams. One member of each team sits with their back to the board. You can write the word on the board and the rest of the class, without saying that word, give them definitions and clues. You can make it even harder by writing words on the board that they mustn't use in their clue. So if the word they need to guess is chair, you can say you must guess this word I've written on the board, but you mustn't use these words in your clues. And you can write sit and legs and table. You can play Blockbusters. Do you remember this quiz from the 1980s? I think it's back on TV now, isn't it? Divide the whiteboard up into a 5x5 grid. Students into teams, and they say that they want a particular letter. That letter is the first letter of the word they're trying to guess. You give the definition of the word. They have to say the word or spell the word, and they win that square. And they move from one side of the grid to the other. Encourage extensive reading. Get a class library together, but it doesn't have to be books. It can be posts on social media. It can be leaflets from the local tourist bureau. Anything. Give the students a library of things to read and give them a reason to read it. Okay. Rewind this video and have a look in a bit more detail these activities. See if anything interests you. Of course, we can use crosswords. We can use definition games where 2 lines at the board. I give a definition to a word. It's a place where young people come to learn, and the word is school. Word searches, making up dialogues using the words. This can be fun if the words are unconnected, finding a way to use words in a dialogue and make it seem natural. Pictionary, where the student draws a picture of the word and the rest of the class need to guess. Charades is a way to do that with your body. The fly swatter game. Don't worry if you don't have fly swatters, roll up a piece of paper. Draw the words or the definition on the whiteboard. Give clues. The students swat the correct word. Bingo. You can write the words that you want to recycle on a bingo card. Blank bingo cards can easily be found online. Call the definitions. The students, perhaps in pairs, cross out the words, and when they've crossed out all the words on their card, bingo. Noticing. When a student is ready to notice a word, this is when they take it into their mind. Have you ever seen a word for the first time and then you see it everywhere? Well, this word, you were always exposed to this word, but you were only just ready to notice it. This happens with our learners all the time. They've been surrounded by English vocabulary but not been ready to notice it yet. Guessing words from context is a way to get students to start to notice words and to get them to involve their brains in guessing the meaning. Now let me show you a strategy. This is a text from the Eden Project, which is one of our local tourist attractions down here in Cornwall. Now let's look at line number 3, the first word, amble. Try to get the students to follow this procedure. Is it a verb, a noun, an adjective or an adverb? Well, as you amble amongst the orange trees, you've got subject followed by the word. I would guess that it's a verb. Which word is it connected to? It's connected to you, so it's something that you do. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? It's difficult to tell, but you're amongst orange and lemon trees. It's probably got a positive connotation, hasn't it? Are there any other clues in the sentence? Well, it's something you do. It seems pleasant. There's a lot of things in the sentence: orange trees, lemon trees, olive groves. Perhaps you look at these things, you can see them. Ooh. Make a guess. Could it mean something to do with travel or walk? Then we find the word in the dictionary. You can easily do this by Googling it. Amble. To walk or move at a slow, relaxed pace. Now, I've used this process. It helps me to notice that word amble. I've engaged my brain to try and guess. It doesn't matter if I guess wrongly. so long as I use this process and cognitively engage with the word. Don't forget to recycle the word at least once in class in the next lesson, and then they will remember it. Noticing again. Here's our text about the Eden Project. Ask the students to just isolate the key words from the text. You're taking out most of the verbs, certainly the adjectives, adverbs, the articles, the prepositions, and you get a list of keywords. Then take the original text away. Ask the students in pairs to reconstruct that full text again. They might come up with something like this. Is it correct? It's not the same, but does it have the same meaning? Then pair the students up with another pair and get them to compare what they've written. And using both new texts, see if they can reconstruct the original text. Then what will happen is they will start to notice the grammar structures, the phrases and the words which they've left out. This is an excellent activity. More noticing activities. Again, with our text from the Eden Project. Take the words that you think that they will have trouble with and give the definitions, but mix them up. So, ambling, walking slowly, relaxed, no hurry. Or you can make it a little bit more difficult. You can ask students to find a word or a phrase which means the same as, and get them to try themselves. In this way, they're cognitively engaging with the text, and they'll be noticing the new words.